Hello makers, today we're going to talk about cabbage. And our rooster is going to talk about crowing. But what we're going to talk about today with cabbage is kind of what we've done with our cabbage so far to date. So you can look down here and see some of the cabbage. You know, we've got some that are a little bit bigger than my hand. Go a little further out. We've got some that are obviously a lot bigger than my hand. So it's time to start harvesting them. And before we talk about harvesting, I want to talk about what we've done with the cabbage. So far, you can see some of the holes in the cabbage. I'm not going to deny that at all, as far as in the outer leaves. The only thing we've done to date is to actually, about 2 weeks ago when we started noticing the worms, we actually, instead of taking neem oil and spraying it on the cabbage, I actually took a fish oil. So I used the fish oil with the salt suds and went ahead and used that. Seemed to work really well during the first part, and then had to come back about a week later after we had several other rains to actually put on a little bit of neem oil with a little bit of salt suds. But some of these cabbage, you can get my hand is fully stretched out over these, and these aren't necessarily the largest ones, but we also do have some smaller ones down here that, you know, just will, you know, kind of make a fist in my hand. So today, what we're going to do is we're going to harvest some of these larger ones, and then I am going to ferment some sauerkraut. So stay with us. Okay, so you can look and see here, give you an idea as kind of the size of these. So I'm putting my hand over it, and you know, I don't know, I guess including the outer leaves and stuff like that, it's probably a 6, 7, probably 6-7 pound cabbage. And you can see there is some damage to these outer leaves. But what I found is, when I take them, and I have to take off about 5 layers of leaves, I end up with this beautiful cabbage. And we ended up, like I said, put a little fish oil on it first with a little Dr. Bronner's. It seemed to work out well, and then I ended up putting 1 coat of neem oil on it. So I'm feeling pretty comfortable that we've got a nice big cabbage, plenty of them, that we're going to go ahead and take inside here, like I said, and start turning those into sauerkraut that we're going to ferment this time. Okay, so now pull out our book, Real Food Fermentation. It's actually a good book. I've looked at it for several different things. We've made yogurt, kefir, sauerkraut, and hopefully we've made kombucha too. So I've never made kimchi or hard cider, but we'll see what happens in the future. Here's all of our cabbage. We've got that all set up, and now I'm going to go ahead. We've got a scale here. I'm going to look in our book, and it's pretty simple. We are going to, for every 2 pounds of cabbage, we're going to have 4 tablespoons of sea salt. That's kind of a weird angle. Maybe that'll help. And then from there, like it says, we're going to use a large cutting board, a knife, mixing bowl, and a mason jar. I'm actually going to be making a lot more than this, so I'll be using a crock. And most likely, I will actually be using a little different deal for cutting up the sauerkraut. I'm actually going to try to use a food processor. So stay with us and we'll start cutting. So what I find is the easiest thing to do for cutting these cabbage is just cut it straight down the middle. You know, pretty good solid head. Then I cut it down the middle again. And then, because I don't like that core part in there, I just simply come right across here, cut that out, and you can see there's a little bit of big stuff in there, but for the most part, the majority of that's been taken out. And then in order for it to fit in our food processor, I actually have to cut it into a pie shape, total of about 8 pieces. Okay. So now I'm dumping the finely cut cabbage. I'm just using a 5-gallon bucket. Putting it in there, and then I'm just weighing it. And that ended up being 2 pounds of cabbage. So now with 2 pounds of cabbage that we added, I need to add 4 teaspoons of salt. I'm just using a pink Himalayan salt that we have. Some people are going to tell you need to use a kosher salt. I've done this before using the pink Himalayan. It worked great. So I'm not too worried about it. Okay, now we've got 3 pounds of cabbage, just over 3 pounds of cabbage, and our salt in here. I've cleaned my hands real good. And now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start mixing it up. I've seen on some of the things on online where they talk about specifically adding water to it. This is how you add your water. So you actually take the salt. The salt allows the cabbage to start pulling the water out. And then you end up making your own brine that way. And that's okay. You hear Abby in the background. She's here helping. So I think the more you can keep your kids involved, the better chance you're going to be for having them want to try this lifestyle. And you can see there's a few bigger pieces that we're pulling out because we would prefer to have a little bit of a finer kraut. So we'll be back in about 5 minutes and I'll show you the brine solution that's being made here. Okay, so we've been going at it for 4 to 5 minutes. One thing I'll share, if you look down in there, see how it's starting to form all that liquid? That's your brine. So it's probably going to take me another 5 minutes, maybe 10. And then this 3+ pounds will be ready to go into the crock. We'll show you that here in a second. Okay, so you can look and see this started off as 6 pounds, and it's really worked its way down. You look on the side of the bucket, not much at all. And then down inside the crock, this is one of those nice crocks that has the water lip seal on it. I wish I could say it was ours, but it's not. A good friend of ours let us borrow it. I think it's a Hirsch crock. One of the German style crocks. It's got, like I said, has the water seal on it, and if I could find the lid, I'll give you the feature on that later. It's got a wheat pole on it, and that's how it works. But down inside here is already 12 pounds. So I'm thinking we're going to be able to get close to 20, maybe 22 pounds or so in here. So stay with us and we'll see what it looks like when it's done. Okay, so we're kind of in our final steps here. We've got almost 20 pounds of cabbage in this crock. We have the stones. Already put one in, putting the second one in, and you can see the water or the brine starting to come over the top, which is what we want. And there's a little bit of cabbage kind of coming through. I don't want that. With a little bit of pressure, I'm seeing the water come all the way up over the stone, which is exactly what we need. And now I'm going to grab this lid. And you can see the features of this lid. It actually has a hole on either side. So I put that down in here. And what I'm going to actually do now is I'm going to take a little salt water and fill up probably 2/3 of the way around this rim. Definitely making sure it's above this hole. And then that actually will allow it to breathe. So as it ferments and it kind of burps, it has a wheat pole on either side, which is which is really nice. So some of us, you know, in the past I've used mason jars, and I've shoved, you know, like a half-gallon mason jar, and then I've put like a pint jar on top of it to hold it down. You know, that works, but even then you can sometimes see a little bit of mold. Really excited to see how this one works, because if this one works the way I've always seen that they work, then this will be something that we're going to plan on investing here on our homestead. If you are watching this and you have one of these and you don't want it anymore, please let us know. We would definitely be interested in it. So in a couple weeks we'll come back and do another video.
Okay.
So right now we're going to go ahead and put this in the root cellar. So right now it's about 64 degrees in the root cellar. That's about the optimal temperature. You're wanting somewhere between 65 and 70 degrees. It's typically great for fermenting. And you know, since we have the root cellar, we might as well use it. But thank you for watching. Please subscribe and share with others. Shalom.